Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bundesliga show. Hope everyone is doing well this evening. We've got Bayern Munich versus Bayer Leverkusen Watchalong here. Myself and Mark back in action. Hope everyone is doing well. I can tune in for what should be a fantastic game of Bundesliga football. Buzzing to have a bit of German football back in our lives, Mark, after the international break.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a long 12, 13 days or so. That's for sure. Although we did have a good game, England v Germany midweek, didn't we? It's a pity we didn't cover that one in the end. But yeah, definitely glad for the Bundesliga to be back. And what a game to come back to as well, because obviously it's two of last season's top three, first v third from last season. Both sides not really enjoying the best season so far, are they? That's clear. Obviously, Bayern Munich coming into this game on a 4-game winless run, having lost the last game against Augsburg away from home. And then Bayer Leverkusen coming into the game in the relegation zone. So, yeah, you don't really imagine that. I think, Rory, are you sporting a Leverkusen jersey there as well for a bit of support?
I am. I'm sporting a Leverkusen number. I do have a Bayern shirt as well, which I've worn on the show before. So it's not anything like either way around. So whoever's watching, I'm not holding any certain alliance. I just want to see a good game of football, to be honest, tonight. So we'll go through the starting 11, the starting lineups in a sec. You can just see the crowd getting into it in the Allianz Arena. The fans obviously will be baying for blood, won't they? They want Bayern to start hitting form in the league. But yeah, quick predictions, Mark, to start with. I think I'll hand over to you to let you go first.
Yeah, it's a hard one, to be honest, because as you say, it's. But I think Bayern Munich, with a win today, they could obviously make the table look a lot prettier for them. Currently sitting in fifth, but a win today put them second above arch rivals Dortmund. So I'm going to go for Bayern to get the result today. I think a 3-1 win, but I do believe Leverkusen have really, really got the kind of quality and the weapons to hurt them. But just the recent form just hasn't been there. And with only one win out of the first 7 games, I think it's hard to see them really getting anything from the game, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, let us know in the comments if you're watching along what you score might be this evening. We're going to see a bit of a Bayern backlash. Will Leverkusen kickstart their season with a huge and much needed win? I think I'm going to go for a 3-1 home win. I expect Bayern to bounce back from what we've seen previously in the league, because they've oddly been fairly okay in Europe, really, haven't they? They've been quite impressive. So yeah, I'm sure we might see another beast in terms of Bayern's performance tonight. Just doing the coin toss right now. 2 captains for this evening. There's 2 goalkeepers. Hopefully both be very busy tonight, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just can't believe the starting lineups, just how attacking both sides have gone, which just kind of, when I saw these starting lineups, I was getting even more excited about this game, to be honest, because I mean, if you look at, obviously, Leverkusen, they've gone with Frimpong, by the look of it, as kind of like a kind of wide forward, really, now. Obviously, he has got a lot of assists and even a couple of goals, I think, this season. So it makes sense. But I mean, the fact that obviously Leverkusen have gone with Kosunu, by the look of it, as a right back, that could be a bit worrying, really, in some ways. But I think, it's a strong Leverkusen side. Hudson-Odoi getting, I think, his second start for the club, which is quite obviously from an English perspective, is quite interesting. I mean, obviously, you've got the big hitters out there, obviously the Diaby and Schick. Schick hasn't had the best starts this season, but I think he has scored in his last 2 of his last 3 games. So he'll be looking to get back amongst the goals. But yeah, really, really exciting game. Looking forward to it. And it is underway as well. Just a Pamecano, just at the back there. Full house at the Allianz Arena today. As you say, the Bayern fans will definitely be baying for blood. It looks like a bit of a darker kit as well. Bayern Munich kicking off in today. Leverkusen all in white. Yeah. So yeah, any ideas why they've kicked off in a darker shirt? Maybe to change the look or something like that.
It's is it not for to do with Oktoberfest, Mark, and like a bit of a celebration kit or something like that?
It could be possibly, yeah. It could be, but I didn't hear or read about that. But it's highly possible, yeah. Obviously, Oktoberfest happening in Munich at the moment as well. I was actually there last Saturday. Great day as well. I very much recommend it to anyone who plans on visiting Germany or Munich. But yeah, obviously, not all is not right with the Bayern players at the moment. Obviously, they didn't enjoy a very good international break either, did they? Losing at home to Hungary and then labouring to a draw against England as well, really, didn't they? They were pretty lucky to get a point to trailing 3-2 late on. So, yeah, I think Thomas Muller in the week said that all's not right with certain German players at the moment, and himself included, because he's also not looked great in recent weeks. But we'll have to see what they can do. I think already an early injury as well for Upamecano. He's down after a high jump. Seemed to fall on his back a little bit there, didn't he? Rory, I think, or is it a head
Yeah,
injury or
Paddy.
a funny fall? Yeah, it's a difficult fall. I
Oh,
think it
yeah,
seems to
no,
be a
it
leg
looks
injury, possibly. Yeah,
looked like a very awkward fall, that didn't it?
yeah.
Paddy Schick getting involved straight away, trying to get his physical presence into the mix of things. And yeah, obviously it looks like a bit of a nasty fall there for Meccano, like his foot jars in the surface of the ground. It looks like he's getting to his feet. So yeah, Bayern will be still with a full complement of their starting 11 players anyway. So yeah, only about 2 minutes into this game at the Allianz Arena. What maybe our second or third Bundesliga watch along of the season so far. The first one after the international break, so we're really looking
Goal
forward
for
to this
Bayern. I
one.
don't know if you've seen it. They're already in front. Bayern Munich have got the first goal after about 2.5 minutes of this game. I don't know if you caught up there, Rory. Sorry to interrupt, but we have got the first
I know
goal, and
it's fine. I
Julian
think
Nagelsmann is very much enjoying himself there. You can see the Bayern fans celebrating, probably just straight from Oktoberfest, aren't they? But
yeah.
the goal is a well-worked one. Musiala, again, I was just going to say he's going to be key. He skins Bakker, puts in the ball, and then it's hit. It looks like it takes a deflection. Sané with the initial shot. Oh yeah, Sané with the initial shot, but it deflects. I think it was Tapsoba's leg there, but I still think it will go down as a Sané goal. But a little bit of luck, but I think it would probably still have gone into the back of the net because Hadatsky was nowhere near that one, Rory.
Yeah, definitely a deflection that's helped it in. Great work by Musiala down the right hand side. Yeah, deflected off the leg of Tapsoba to knock it past Haradecki. But yeah, I mean, if we were looking at kind of key contests tonight, definitely Musiala versus Bakker would have been one. And it's the perfect start for the German champions. I mean, it's hard to say whether the goal was coming or here come Bayern again into the penalty area. I think that's Musiala, but the exchange passes comes to nothing. Tapsoba can clean up. I know it's been 4 minutes now, but they look in the mood tonight, don't they, Mark?
Yeah, you can already see that it seems as though like Nagelsmann, obviously most of them would have gone off into international break over the last 2 weeks, but seems as though Nagelsmann's really kind of reinforced his authority this last couple of days and told them, that nothing less than a win and probably a big win is acceptable in this game, really, because he himself is under a little bit of pressure. It's not typical for Bayern Munich to go 4 games without a win in the Bundesliga. I wouldn't say performances have been drastically bad. They have run into a few very, very inspired goalkeepers during that 4-game run, namely Gikiewicz from Augsburg and obviously Jan Sommer from Gladbach in that draw. But they definitely look up for it today. And I think the team lineup as well is very, very attacking. And, Sané, who did pretty well for against England in the game, again, for Germany. And I think he looks very much in the mood. Musiala is just a quality player nowadays, isn't he? For me, he's one of Bayern's best players. And, you even saw in the game midweek against England that he just was quality, wasn't he? And he's just great play. Bakker isn't known to be the best defensively, is he? And I think, again, they're actually another chance in for Bayern here in the... Oh, he's skinned him. They've got the ball through Mane, who puts a ball in, but it's poor from Mane, and it's cleared easily. But Bayern have got the ball again on the edge of the area, but it's lost. I think Sabitzer lost the ball there, and Leverkusen are just about able to clear. But they look in 6s and 7s at the moment, Leverkusen. They can't even string a pass together. As I was saying, and now Bakker just plays the ball back to Hadatsky, and Hadatsky is literally just completely screwed the ball behind for a corner. They look nervous, they look weak. And to be honest, they could lose the game in the first 20 minutes if things continue like this for Leverkusen. Bayern have now got a corner on the left-hand side, which will be swung in a minute. But Bayern look well and truly up for it. Kimmich is going to swing the ball in. Probably Bayern's best player so far this season before this match. Just stay with you to take you through this. So he's going to put the corner in a minute. Now, as we speak, Owen is well headed away by Tapsoba this time. The ball once again is recycled by Bayern, and Leverkusen just can't get the ball, Rory.
Yeah, I mean, they're really under the cosh at the moment. Not being able to get their players on the ball, can't relieve the pressure. Obviously, yeah, having just seen the corner come in. So yeah, it's about someone like Patrik Schick winning a header deep in Bayern's half and picking up the pieces after that, really. Because right now, first and second balls all being won by Bayern, and like you said, could be done in the first 20 minutes. Let's hope not from our point of view. But yeah, we definitely want to see some more goals. So make sure that you're tuning in. And of course, first and foremost, make sure that you drop a like for the video. Hopefully you can enjoy the coverage that we're providing you at the moment. That's obviously on various different countries. Make sure you drop in there's a message in the chat as well. Come say hello, wherever you're watching from, whatever your kind of knowledge of football is, come say hello. We really want to have, flowing conversations and chat about the game. What are your opinions on Bayern and Leverkusen? So get them in, and please do press the red button and subscribe to the channel. So you don't miss out on anything that's going on. And so, yeah, the game's starting to settle into a pattern. So get yourself settled in for some brilliant Friday night Bundesliga football, Mark. So, yeah, so just more possession for Bayern at the moment. And they're just kind of biding their time until the next big attack.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Schick did just win a ball there, but once again, it's won back off Diaby from more Bayern Munich possession. They've just come out really, really looking up for it today, haven't they, Bayern Munich? And I just think it's just about surviving at the moment for Leverkusen, as once again, the ball is played out wide to Mane, who puts it in. But once again, I don't know, Mane so far for Bayern Munich, he's just not. Obviously, it's very early days, but that's two poor balls he's put in the past 2 or 3 minutes, really, from good positions. He doesn't look to be very confident at the minute. But Leverkusen have gone down the other end. They have the ball through Diaby on the far side, a very strong shoulder charge there. I think it was on Diaby or Frimpong. And I think it was just about fair, but it was a little bit risky from the Bayern defender there because he really kind of threw him off the ball. I think it was a fair challenge, but a little bit risky and unnecessary in that case. But the game's end to end now. Pavard has the ball, plays it in again, and goes through all the balls to Tapsoba, who will clean up. But yeah, things aren't looking good for Leverkusen overall. That was the first time really they'd had the ball in the Bayern half, and it was a decent little run from it was number 30. So that's it was Frimpong actually, who's going to be quite dangerous, but he was very, very heavily challenged. What did you make of that one, Rory? Was that a good challenge, or you think a little bit too much?
Well, it was good old Joshua Kimmich, so he's not going to hold back, is he? Lives and breathes hard contact football, so I think it was a fair challenge, really, in the end. But yeah, a bit of a suspect one, I guess. And evening, Dan. Hope you're doing well. Notchin is doing really well. In terms of the shirts that we're wearing, Mark, I believe yours is yours a Tasmania Berlin one?
No, it's a Paderborn one this year. I'm going for the side that actually,
okay.
I think they lost tonight, didn't they? But yeah, they lost in this fight tonight against Darmstadt, actually. Yeah, so that's quite a big result. Obviously, Hamburg getting the second winner there as well in this fight away in Hanover. So that's a massive win. They look well on course for going back into the Bundesliga this season, don't they? Hamburg finally, after 5 years away now? But I think a lot of people will be happy to see them back. But yeah, I'm rocking a Paderborn shirt today, the small team from Nordrhein-Westfalen who are doing pretty well really this season.
Yeah, and the top I've got on Dan is an away Leverkusen top. So we were saying earlier, I'm not officially supporting them, but I mean they're the underdogs in this game. So I think it's only fair that I give them a bit of support, because right now it looks like they are in quite desperate need for it. As Bayern won the possession back there off Leverkusen, and again just starting to build. On certainly on my stream anyway, probably about 20 odd seconds behind you, Mark.
Oh, Leverkusen in a good position.
Quite a bit of weather around Sheffield today, so
sorry. Now Frimpong.
The excitement, I love it.
Yeah. They got the first big chance, and again, it's a poor effort really from Frimpong. He had the ball it was 2 against 2 really in a way. Like you'll probably see it in a second, Rory. And he's got to do it better there. They've got to be hitting the target or getting a proper shot off there for me, really, because that was a great chance. But it just shows that Leverkusen will get opportunities tonight. The way that Bayern Munich have set up, I mean, Sabitzer is more of an attacking kind of midfielder, really, isn't he? There's only really Kimmich to provide proper kind of support to that defense. And, even the defense, really, especially Alphonso Davies, he's more of an attacking defender. Attacking fullback, isn't he? So De Ligt and Upamecano are going to have the work cut out today at times. I definitely think, I definitely think Leverkusen will get on the score sheet tonight. But from what I've seen so far, I don't see any reason why there's not going to be a lot of goals in this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've had a little bit of bad luck with some of our watch-alongs of recent times. And I think we're due a really good game here tonight. So obviously, touch wood, we can get a bit of a Leverkusen comeback that will spike even more goals from Munich. But right now, about 13 minutes into the game, is Bakker on the ball, and interesting kind of battle tonight, I guess, Mark, between, I was going to say pre-match between the two fullbacks in the shape of Alphonso Davies and Frimpong, because they're both such speedy operators and so dangerous in the attacking thirds as well as the defending ones.
Yeah, they are. Definitely think, obviously, already Bakker he was a bit suspect on the defence, wasn't he, for the first goal. He kind of got skinned by Musiala. But I mean, obviously, the fact they've gone with Kusunu as the right back as well shows, I guess, that they want to try and stop Davies, maybe give a bit more extra support. But I think so far it has been, down the right side. Again, Pavard's side. It always seemed this season it's been, usually you would say Alphonso Davies has most of the attack down the left side. But this season it's been Pavard who's been providing a lot of the attacks. And yeah, again, Bayern Munich come here with Mane on the left side. Mane does seem to be playing a bit wider. It seems as though they've gone with Seoane as the out-and-out number 9 today. Ball coming in, just about dealt with by Tapsoba, but they're not looking that confident in that centre-half position at the moment, Leverkusen. But Kimmich recycles the ball to Davies, who then plays it back to De Ligt. They just look very confident on the ball, and they don't look like a side that have gone 4 games without a win in the league so far, Bayern Munich. But yeah, just playing it around the back now as we nice ball into Davies actually, and another good ball wide to Mane. Yeah, Mane's definitely playing a lot wider today, isn't he, Rory?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, whether that's designed to try and take a bit of pressure off Mane, make him a bit more comfortable. He obviously has done that for Liverpool as well. Maybe just to give him a bit of space to actually turn and run at his man, who obviously will have his hands full with a confident Sadio Mane. But at the moment, it's not quite going for him. Good evening to Runa. Thanks for checking in, pal. Obviously, brilliant show with yourself last night with the Bundesliga fantasy. I've already got myself a Musiala assist, so that's a good start. Yeah, completely agree. A very dominant start so far from Bayern, but looks like Leverkusen may well be starting to wake up. So yes, very, very much agreed with you there, Runa. Make sure you go check out the fantasy show as well if you want to get some last minute tips, or indeed if you want to change your captain at all or anything like that. Obviously, it's all on the channel, so make sure you check that out. But the more important thing for now is the live game that we're watching. So make sure you check in, say hello, get involved in the chat, let us know what you're thinking of the game so far. Dominant Bayern, really. And yeah, we need a bit of a comeback. I've got a dangerous looking free kick on my screen. Mark, you might have already seen it happen, but if not, do you want to talk us through it?
Yeah, he's just Kimmich took it and he smashed it like comfortably over and wide. Not the best effort. Initially, it looked as though it might go on target, but it kind of faded off when it got nearer the goal. So Leverkusen have survived that one. Yeah, I think as Runa said, though, they are starting to look a little bit more threatening going forward, aren't they? But I think when you set up so attacking at the Allianz, you realise that they knew they were going to concede goals today. They've decided to go out with an attitude that we're going to score more than you. You know, when you line up this way against Bayern Munich, you're not going to keep a clean sheet, basically. Like, that's pretty much certain. So we know Leverkusen, especially under Gerardo Seoane, they do like to attack, and they've always been a side that have entertained. And yeah, from what I've seen so far, I expect to see both sides on the score sheet. And again, good play. Oh, it's 2-0. Herdatsky, garbage goalkeeper, and it's your man, Jamal Musiala, who's got the goal, but it should have been kept out. I think Lucas Herdatsky's been on the drink a little bit over this last week because he started the game absolutely poorly today. He really has. I mean, he's let an absolute clanger in, and it's 2-0 to Bayern Munich. That man, Jamal Musiala, with another goal and an assist inside the first 18 minutes. It's actually a really good move, but, you know, poor defending, really, and then a poor goal to concede. You know, Herdatsky, I think we were talking about putting him in our top 10 since 2000, weren't we, Rory? And you talked me out of that one. And based on this performance so far, I can totally understand why.
I think it was more your idea.
Yeah, I think it was more tongue-in-cheek, really, wasn't it? But I think, yeah, he's been very, very poor today, and now he's cost his team another goal, and it's going to be a long, long way back for the Bayer 04 now. Jamal Musiala, though, with another goal, Rory.
Yeah, indeed. Very impressive young man. As he said, was very good during the international break. Certainly looked bright against England. Yet another assist for Thomas Muller, although I think he won't, you know, it's not one of his better ones. Just a nice return pass into Musiala's into his path. Good strike on the ball. But yeah, as you mentioned, poor goalkeeping, beat at the near post, always pretty suspect. And there you go. The goal probability percentage has been given as 6%. So, you know, that sums it up as oh my God, Hardecki again, inviting pressure on top of them, but Leverkusen somehow get out of it. And other than almost injury Upamecano after a couple of minutes, we have seen absolutely naff all of Patrik Schick, Mark.
No, not at all. He's not had a great season, has he, so far? And to be honest, at times he's looked a little bit like, I'm not going to say lethargic, but I'd say dejected is a better word, really. You know, obviously Leverkusen did really well to keep him in the summer, but the season that isn't working out. Aside from probably that one result against Atletico Madrid, you know, we've not really seen Leverkusen anywhere near where they should be. And I think Seoane, they might give him another game or two to see if they can get through the Champions League, but I think his time is very much running out at the moment, to be honest. As you say, key players just aren't doing well enough at the minute. And I'll be honest, I think he might have set up a little bit too attacking today to come to the Allianz Arena, you know, and just invite pressure, going so attacking. What do you think, Rory? Do you think Seoane could be coming towards his end now? Or?
I mean, obviously, all head coaches or managers have their own expiration date, don't they? We've got the last 5 results of both teams going along the bottom of the screen now. And as you mentioned, other than that, really good performance against Atletico, and they were well set for that 2-0 win because I thought they were excellent. It's just not happened. Scraping the odd, some draws, just the one win. It's just been a real struggle. Complete contrast to last season. Free scoring, highly efficient in the final third, scoring goals for fun. Of course, they missed the amazing Florian Wirtz, but you just can't pin your hopes on a teenager to run your season, run your team, and they're just been so leaky as well. So yeah, I do agree that maybe they have gone a bit gung-ho, just as was that Musiala again having a shot, and it goes out for a corner. So yeah, it's survival. As in the game right now is survival mode, isn't it, Mark? As well, we're 21 minutes in. If Bayern get oh no, it's not a corner. Sorry, it's a goal kick. Leverkusen just needs to soak it up and then try and hit Bayern on the break, get a goal before half time, and go from there.
Yeah, you can see this kind of game in the Bundesliga though, where it's just completely one side, and then all of a sudden it just turns on a knife edge. Like it's not an uncommon thing in the Bundesliga, but you're absolutely right. Against the best team in the league, which they still are, even though they've not had the best start to the season. You know, we've seen already this season they can put a few past teams. Obviously, putting 6 past Frankfurt, 7 past Bochum. So not bad for a team that are supposedly not playing well, is it? So. You know, a good play from Patrik Schick there to win a free kick off Sadio Mane, actually, from a decent position. I don't think it's close enough to shoot. It's probably about 40 meters away from the goal at the minute. But, you know, the good chance to get a proper cross in, which they do get a cross in. Oh, but again, it's kind of bundled away. I think it goes into Schick, but it's somehow he falls over. I don't know if he's looking for a penalty there or not. But, you know, he did get onto the end of the free kick, which was floated in by Demir Bay, but you know, probably could have done a bit better, but it's still Leverkusen in possession in the Bayern half. They play it into Schick again. Oh, it comes out to him. They have the first shot of the game, but it's well wide from Andrich. Actually, Robert Andrich, the defensive midfielder, has Leverkusen's first proper shot without being blocked, but it's gone comfortably behind for a goal kick, which Neuer takes very, very quickly, you know, rolls the ball out to De Ligt, who is now bringing the ball forward. I think Bayern centrally, they can kill this game before half-time, Rory.
Yeah, well, a team like Bayern have, you know, 6 sense of these sort of things, as any good team would do. You know, they're 2-0 up and they can kill it by going 3 and 4 quite quickly, can't they? Reminds me of a game between Bayern and Leverkusen quite recently, and I'm sure it was in Leverkusen as well, and both teams had a really good start. But it was billed as being obviously a really big game between the two sides, really exciting. And it was 5-0 after 30 minutes or something daft like that. So that's obviously the Bundesliga for you. But Bayern look completely on it. Sané, some lovely interchanging passes, Muller into the area, but well blocked actually in the end. And the likes of Diaby, I mean, Callum Hudson-Odoi, obviously the Englishman who, you know, we've all got a vested interest in looking at English players in the Bundesliga. Again, not seen much of him so far, disappointingly, Mark, because he is a real live wire, the number 17 for Leverkusen.
Yeah, he is. Like, he's always been a player that I've rated, and I think, you know, he was a first-team player for Chelsea. I think it was under Lampard, wasn't it? Lampard was a big fan of him, and he got first team for, I think he was even part of the Champions League winning team under Tuchel, wasn't he? Because he started, but then he kind of dropped out of favour. And it was a big coup for Leverkusen to get him because, you know, a couple of seasons ago, I know Bayern were after him. I think Dortmund were also after him. So for him to go to Leverkusen is a big coup, but I think when some of these young English lads go abroad, you know, a lot of it is how well they're willing to kind of embrace the culture, you know, and kind of get really stuck in there. You know, are they going to really embrace living in Germany, or are they just going to kind of stay in the room? And I think a lot of that depends on the success. And I think you see, obviously, Bellingham has had massive success, but you can see that he's really taken to the culture of Borussia Dortmund, you know. And I think that's the key, really, to foreign players having success in Germany, especially English players, because, you know, I don't know how to say it really, but the Brits are not always the best abroad, are they? Let's be honest. You know, they've not got a great record over the years going abroad. The likes of Jonathan Woodgate at Real Madrid, even Michael Owen didn't really do very well. So let's hope he's going to do well. But so far in this particular game, he's been pretty much non-existent, hasn't he? I think he had a bit of possession a minute ago where he was dispossessed by Joshua Kimmich, sorry, but Robert Andrich with a good tackle there just to save an attack. But Leverkusen are really struggling to get out of their own half, to be honest, at times. And I think a third goal would kill the game at this stage, Rory.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Just as Bayern coming forward again, Davis on the edge of the area, but well stolen there by Robert Andrich. And again, trying to get Schick involved, but his hold-up play is not good enough. And yeah, at the moment, the only kind of way I see a Leverkusen goal happening is probably from overconfidence from Bayern, I'd say, Mark. Which does happen with them on occasions where they feel the game is too easy. The fullbacks, the centre backs will just start, gambling and start kind of going further forwards. So at the moment, that seems like the only way back into this game for Seoane's lads, because they're rather struggling. About 26 and a half-ish minutes gone in the Bundesliga. The first game since the international break already got 2 goals to you on tonight's Watchalong as Bayern come forward again here in numbers. I thought, Davies. I think you already obviously would have already seen that, Mark. Why on earth did Davies pass that? He should have shot.
Yeah, he should have done. Yeah, and especially when I've got him in my fancy team as well tonight. But yeah, it's that man Musiala again. What a touch that was, wasn't it? What a touch that was to Musiala. Absolutely fantastic. But Bayern Munich just completely dominating the game of football at the moment. They probably, as you say, I'm not going to say they should have scored there, but they had men over, didn't they? They had about 3 men in the box, and as you say, he could have either shot or found his man, but he just kind of hit it straight at the defender. But yeah, for Leverkusen, it's very hard to see where to go from there at the moment, because they just don't look confident enough. And as you say, that not enough players that can bring it out of the Leverkusen half. Like, that's where you need a Florian Wirtz, isn't it, who can kind of dribble past a few players. But I like Robert Andrich as a player, but he's kind of out of his depth in this kind of match, and he's struggling to even keep the ball for a few seconds at times, Andrich. But yeah, again, it's Bayern Munich. Great performance so far, I've got to say. We needed a performance. Well, they needed a performance today, and so far they've very much got it. I mean, okay, you could say both the goals were in some way lucky. The first one a bit of a deflection, the second one a goalkeeper error. But in football, you have to shoot to score, don't you? I always say that, and I think goalkeepers do make mistakes, especially in the Bundesliga, and it does happen. So it's not really a surprise at Bayern. I think they're well worth a 2-0 lead. That's without doubt, really.
Yeah, 100%. Just seeing the Musiala goal again there on the replay, just as Leverkusen going along. But Kimmich is just running the show. But although, having just said that, he misplaces the pass. And yeah, a lot of... What can Leverkusen do then, Mark? Do they just sit in and take the 2-0 at half-time and then try and get a nice reshape? Or can they try and push further up, try and win the ball higher up the pitch, and then when they do win the ball, they're in a better position to get men forward? Or is it the fact that they seem to be losing the ball quicker than they can, hold on to it? It's a tricky thing for them, isn't it, right now?
Yeah, they're just losing the press, aren't they? I think in the midfield, obviously, they've gone for a midfield of Andrich and Demir buying it. It's not the strongest midfield in the Bundesliga, let's say that much. And I just think, there's not... Andrich, as I say, is just not able to play his way out of the danger. The defensive midfielder from Union Berlin, he's just kind of out of his depth a little bit in this tie, but they can't really bring him off. They've got to just start winning the ball higher up the pitch, and maybe show a little bit more energy, a bit more desire, I would say, at times, really. And, you've just seen Bakker there just lose the ball, and he just kind of doesn't look bothered, really, And I think, I always say you've got to work hard to win a game of football, especially against the best teams. We've seen the likes of Union Berlin making up for their perceived lack of quality. But to be honest, nowadays, I'm not sure that people really would call it a lack of quality. But they work so hard every single game, And I think that's what you've got to do, especially against the likes of Bayern Munich. And I just don't think Leverkusen are really doing it at the moment. You see just now on the screen, a lot of players are just standing still, and this is a problem when teams, big teams, because Leverkusen are a big team, when they start playing badly, they just kind of lose hope at times, whereas the smaller teams always seem to keep fighting, really. And I think that's the issue that Leverkusen have at the moment. Bakker is having an absolute stinker. It really is. He's just passed the ball straight to a Bayern player under no pressure, and then he just kind of stands there, shrugging his shoulders, really. And it's just... certain players for Leverkusen are just not putting it in at the moment, I'm afraid. And I think it's just a matter of time before they concede the third at the minute.
Yeah, he's not having a good game, is he? He's having one tonight up against a very recharged and looking like they're back on form Bayern Munich side. But I think the one thing that Bayern will really want is a Sadio Mane goal. He's just got the ball here on the edge of the area, back heel. That doesn't work. Davis versus Frimpong. That's what we're all here to see. Lovely tackle to win the ball back. And Schick doing a bit of good hold-up play. And a long ball there, which was dealt with very professionally by Neuer, and De Ligt managed to get away. That's the sort of thing that Leverkusen need to create, those kind of one-on-one situations, breaking quickly on Bayern, but just a bit of ball possession as well would be nice, which they actually have at the moment, certainly on my screen anyway. So 32 minutes roughly gone in the match here not in the Allianz. Unfortunately, not at the moment. Neither of us are, but Bayern looking very good here to get their Bundesliga campaign back on track. But Leverkusen looking far from the side that they were last season. Fingers crossed that they can make this a more competitive game. They've obviously still got a good chunk of time before the first half ends to nick a goal. Even if it's as scrappy as it gets, then it'll give them a bit of confidence, and I'm sure we'll see the best of them. But right now, Bayern coming forward. Mane back on the ball. That's a nice ball. Sabitzer, Musiala. That's a good block in the end by Kosnunu. So corner ball, Mark. Did the corner come to anything?
It's just coming in, actually. Yeah, I think Kimmich's just, as you say, he's just been everywhere. Kimmich, defense, attack. What a player he is! Really, he's definitely one of the best central midfielders in the world nowadays. And he played a brilliant corner as well. One of those drifty ones, and it literally landed on the boot of Sabitzer, who, he does get a goal or two, especially when he was at Leipzig. But he smashed it well over the bar this time. Probably should have done a little bit. It's not easy, but he probably should have done a little bit better than what he did, really. But yeah, great corner. It's superb. It really was, that corner. And he just saw Sabitzer free. And again, losing your man on a corner is just not acceptable. But a good ball played in. Oh, they're going to have a chance here. And it's the first proper shot from Leverkusen. It's route one, actually. I think it's Schick who wins the header, and it lands at the feet of Diaby, who has a pretty good effort, but it's still a comfortable save. No, it's actually, it's played in by that man, Adoy, I think. And it's the really good save, not a really good save, but he should be saving it, but it's a solid save, palmed out for a corner for Leverkusen. But yeah, as you say, sometimes a goal can just come out of nowhere, can't it? And that's one example. It's going to be Demirbay who puts this corner in now. Just a bit of a chance to get, a bit of pressure on that Bayern defence, which we haven't seen much of so far today. The corner coming in now, it's a looping one. Oh, I don't know who won it, but it did end up in the gloves of Manuel Neuer. But I'll probably say the first or second moment really that Leverkusen have had in this opening 34 minutes, Rory.
Yeah, nice to see a bit of attacking intent by them. Good ball through from Adoy, like you said, and a good strike from Diaby, and the corner not quite leading to a goal. But Leverkusen and Bayern equally will be looking at set pieces to make the difference tonight. I think Bayern have been a real threat from corners so far this season, just as they're coming forward here with Musiala again. And Leverkusen have also been a threat from set pieces, as the header by Thomas Muller, but goes into the hands of Hradecky. But yeah, Demirbay scored a really nice free kick, didn't he? Against Hertha?
Yeah.
So, maybe they can use that as an opportunity, get some big lads forward, Jonathan Tah, Tapsoba, Kosnunu, and try and get themselves back into this match. I'm all for playing pretty football and it's what all teams do, but Leverkusen knocking it around the back at the moment are giving me the jitters because I feel like it's just inviting Bayern on. And I know that's often the point of beating the press so you can get forward. But right now, obviously, that first real chance came from Patrik Schick, one header or flicked on, pick up that second ball. break forward, Mark.
Yeah, I think that's one of Leverkusen's big problems, isn't it? Because they do want to play that good football, and but I think the problem is they've not got a defender who can really bring the ball out of the defense. That's the problem. Like, none of them look good on the ball, especially Tapsoba. He's always giving me nightmares when he's on the ball. Tapsoba. He's just not a player for me who's got that ability. But, you know, I think if you are planning on playing that play out from the back, so to speak, you've got to have a player who can bring it out, you know. And I suppose maybe Bakker is dropping deep when Hadatsky has the ball, but he's the one that's supposed to be bringing it out, I guess, from the left. But he's just giving the ball away so much, and he's just had a really poor game. But, you know, of those three centre-backs, none of them really give you the hope that they can really have any quality on the ball, to be honest. I'm not even sure who is supposed to be the guy that's bringing it out. I think maybe Jonathan Tah, but again, he's more of like a kind of old school centre half. But, you know, I think that's one of the problems for Leverkusen, and maybe even was a problem last season as well in some ways. But, you know, they do make mistakes at the back. They give away a lot of goals, and that's something that Seoane has never really been able to solve, I guess. Even last season, when they had a brilliant year, it was always a case of we'll score more than you, wasn't it, Rory, really?
Yeah, very much so. But there's still hope for them in this game. I'm sure if they can get Hudson-Odoi and Diaby on the ball. But yeah, obviously stopping Bayern from scoring any. Hardecki coming out of net there.
Great effort just coming in there from Andrik. Just as I said, no one can bring the ball out of the back. Actually, Tapsoba does really well to put a good ball in, and that man Andrik is just he's just dipped an effort just over the bar. Yeah, it was actually a really good effort. And when he first hit it, I thought it was in the back of the net, but it just kind of hits the top of the netting, really. But yeah, great. That's what Leverkusen have got to do. You know, they've got to not these kind of short passes. They've got to go for like the longer passes into men in space, because Bayern Munich, you know, they don't keep that many clean sheets, do they, Rory, really, nowadays? And I think if Leverkusen can get a goal just out of nothing, then they can start to make Bayern think again.
They can, but I mean, Bayern have defended better this season than they have last. I think they're probably in the top three, roughly, in the league for how, you know, defensively how they add up. But
they have, but they still don't keep that many clean sheets. But
absolutely. So there's absolutely hope, and I think if Leverkusen can stretch the game, make the pitch big, you know, really force Diaby
3-0. Sorry,
to go wide. Yeah,
and it's that man Sadio Mane, courtesy of another deflection. But where are the Leverkusen defenders at all? Like, it's just he's got so much space on the edge of the area. The ball just comes to him, and it's a lucky goal. It's a second deflection, but at the end of the day, what I said before, if you allow footballers to shoot, the ball will end up in the back of the net, and there's just no one really to kind of close him down at all. And just as you were saying, there is still hope. It's really well won, I think, by Pavard. Someone wins it off, I think it's Bakker again. And I think actually it might not have had a deflection, actually. It looked like a deflection to me initially. I'm just looking again. No, it did. It hit Andrik, that man Andrik, and it's just gone past Hadatsky, who didn't have much chance, really. But I think it's another assist for your man, Musiala, Rory. And I think it was well won by Pavard.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah, I think it was well won by Pavard, who's been absolutely brilliant this season, by the way. But again, it's just, I mean, from a Bayern perspective, it's a good goal. It's the kind of goal they want to score. But, you know, again, for Leverkusen, surely the game's over now, really.
Yeah, 3-0 to Bayern Munich here on Over the Bars Watchalong of the champions versus Bayer Leverkusen. Friday night football, producing the goods again. Maybe not in terms of a really close contest, but we've had 3 goals in 40-odd minutes, and we are probably pretty much set for a lot more. I mean, the goal came when I was chatting a little bit about Leverkusen. It now looks even harder. I mean, they need a goal before half time to even think about the second half. If it's 3-0 at half time, it's interesting to see what Seoane does, whether he chops and changes or just tries to see the game out for 3-0. I mean, hard to know what to say with Leverkusen, because they're realistically a team that are not going to be in trouble. But what are their season expectations from here on in, if they do succumb to a loss tonight.
Yeah, I think it's one of them, and I don't think they're in any trouble of relegation yet. I mean, I wouldn't be saying that much. They're not that bad. Do you know what I mean? But the Champions League is starting to look a long way off, isn't it? And I think obviously, they are considered to be one of the top four nowadays in Germany that should be qualifying every year. They've got the resources, the quality of players, the facilities, along with Bayern Munich, Dortmund and Leipzig. They are the four sides that are favourites every year to qualify for the Champions League. But as things stand, they've only got 5 points, probably from 8 games now, which is a woeful return, really. It's like 0.6 points per game, which is just terrible, basically. And over 8 games now, which is too much. And I think, unless they sort themselves out in the next 2 or 3 games, I think Champions League's gone, to be honest. I don't think you've got all season to get. I mean, I know Leipzig also didn't have the best first half to last season, but they still won some games. They still had like 6-7 wins by Christmas. But I think, what we've seen from Leverkusen so far, 1 win out of 8 now, and barring a miracle comeback here. And, they're just not looking that good, are they, at all? So I think... yeah, I would say probably what is the realistic expectations? They've still got to aim for Europe, but it could be, from what I've seen so far, I don't think they'll get Europe, to be honest. I just don't think it's one of those seasons for them at the minute, and I don't see things improving anytime soon. And I actually like Seoane, and I really enjoyed watching them last season. I thought they were absolutely brilliant, and I would like to see him given more time, but I'm just not seeing enough from the performances at the minute to justify it, really.
Yeah, time's obviously a horrible thing for a head coach because they just don't get any anymore. And his first season was incredibly impressive, but that is often quickly forgotten about, isn't it? Just as they're trying to play from the back, and Tar does well actually there, and Hudson-Odoi doing his best, winning a free kick, I believe. Yeah, off Sabitzer. So just a bit of momentary relief. Runa in the chat, Musiala on fire, involved in all 3 games already, 26 points on Fantasy Bundesliga. If you put a star on him, huge stuff, which I have done. So I'll be absolutely thrilled with that. Patrik Schick, I think, has he won a free kick in the corner there, Mark, and a potential chance to swing the ball in?
He has. The ball's not been swung in yet, but it's going to be Demir by the usual man who swings the free kicks in for them. He looks in a hurry, obviously only 1.5 minutes or so before half time, but he's going to put the ball in. Now, this has got to be, you need a good ball here, a perfect ball, really. And it is a good ball, but again, it's well defended again. Even the defense has been good. I think it's Kimmich. It is a corner, but it's really well defended because the ball was good. It was a perfect ball, and Tapsoba got his head on it, but it was deflected behind by the ever-active Kimmich. The corner is going to come in again. Leverkusen looking in a bit more of a hurry for the first time in this match, really. Demirbay swings another good corner in. Oh, what happened there? Oh, it's not gone in, but it was headed towards the goal, and I think Schick kind of got in the way of it. I need to see a replay of that because it was a bit of a strange incident, but it was a good corner. The header is won by Tar. Oh, it's actually saved. Andrik kind of tries he's debating whether to get something on it, but it's a good header by Tar and a pretty good save, really, in the end. Bayern Munich come again here, though, looking to well and truly kill the game, but it's cleared away for once, and then Kimmich has a shot deflected away. Looks like we're going to go in at 3-0, but, at Leverkusen, we've said all that, but they've still had 2 or 3 chances, really, in the game, Rory.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm trying to build them up a little bit because they've had the odd chance and they are dangerous from set pieces, as I was mentioning a little bit earlier. But as you mentioned, 3 goals. All of them have an element of softness to them. Third goal, Pavard wins the ball back, so Leverkusen conceding possession. The second goal is obviously a keeper mistake, as you already alluded to. The first goal, Bakker is irrational to try and win the ball off Musiala in the first instance. And then obviously there's a bit of a deflection, which doesn't help. But so, yeah, in turn, all 3 goals are completely avoidable, is what you have to say. And yeah, we're straight into We're straight into half time then. So, 3-0 at the Allianz so far this evening. So, Bayern Munich, the champions, are cruise control at the moment against, lowly Bayer Leverkusen. Sadio Mane with the third goal before, after Musiala and Leroy Sané got Bayern off to the perfect post-international break start. Mark, so, I mean, yeah, it's just been clinical so far from the German champions.
Yeah, I think the XGs are interesting, though. I often quite like looking at them. It's only 0.66 for Bayern, despite having 3 goals, and Leverkusen have actually got 0.33. So I never know really whether it is actually a good kind of statistic, because it's, I think Bayern have, for me, they've earned more than 0.66 goals to me. But it is interesting, from that stat perspective. It's, I think they work it out from the chances of scoring, from the chances they create. It's not to do with like the number of shots on target and things like that. I think XGs is worked out. Like when you get a penalty, you get like 0.8 points just for that, because obviously you got a high chance of scoring. So I guess it's partly to do with that. And I guess if you're talking about really clear-cut chances, it's not that high for Bayern Munich. But I think they deserve a 2-3-0 lead for me, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, as I said, the Musiala shot was a goal percentage possibility of 6%. So, that obviously adds against the kind of likelihood of Bayern scoring. So, yeah, it is interesting because, and again, the Mane chance on the edge of the area, it's a shot through quite a lot of bodies. So, again, maybe the probability of that was quite low. So, yeah, interesting stuff, really. So whilst it's half time, and because it's the first game of the weekend, we may as well look forward. And we've got the games of Matchweek 8 going below on the banner, so we can kind of do some predictions whilst we've got a bit of time, as the game is at its break for half time. So tomorrow, Saturday, quite a lot of games. First of all, we've got FC Köln versus Borussia Dortmund. So the Anthony Modeste derby, so to speak. So what do you reckon to this one, Mark? Should be an interesting game. Dortmund is still struggling with available players, certainly. So, predictably, it should be a pretty close one, this.
Yeah, it's a tough one to predict this, because, I think Köln, they've been okay so far this season, but they've not hit the heights of last season, I wouldn't say. They've only lost once, but too many draws. That's been their problem so far. But I think they'll be fired up for this game. This is the kind of game that will suit them, And obviously, Stefan Baumgart will probably be really over it. I think the problem with Dortmund is that they've just got too many injuries. I think Royce is out tomorrow, which is a massive loss. It's just, obviously, Modeste has been poor. But at the end of the day, Dortmund are winning games. And I think my opinion of them has actually changed since that defeat against Man City. I just thought they were so good in that game. And that has made me realize that, maybe they can achieve more than what I initially thought this season. And I think, apart from the game against Leipzig, they have been good this season, really. And I think, it's in terms of a prediction, it is the kind of game that Dortmund have got to win, basically. If they want to win the league, they have got to win this kind of game. And it's the kind of game they've not been winning the last 2 or 3 years. But I'm just going to go for a 2-1 win here. I just think Dortmund, they've got a lot of players missing, but they'll just be able to get the result this year.
Yeah, it's a tricky one to call, isn't it? I will, to be fair, that's not a bad shout. I think I'll agree with you on that one. I think it'll be a close game, as you say. I expect Köln to probably score, but kind of, I feel like Dortmund will just about do enough. Or am I talking myself into a 1-1 draw? I'll go 1-1 draw to be different to you, Mark. Why not? Right. Another Saturday afternoon kickoff then, Eintracht Frankfurt versus FC Union Berlin, the current leaders of the Bundesliga. Again, interesting and entertaining game this, I predict, Mark. The league leaders at the moment, did the international break come at the wrong time for them, or their momentum possibly stalling, or do you expect them to carry on the way they are and to edge past an up and down Frankfurt team, because their results in the Bundesliga and indeed Europe have been a bit unbalanced?
Yeah, I think Frankfurt started poorly the first two games, but I think they've been getting better and better. In that game they lost against Wolfsburg is probably the only poor performance they've had in probably the last 5 or 6 games, really now. But I think, yeah, this is a really hard one, I agree, because I think Union are a side, they like wins. They're not the kind of side that are going to take a point there. They believe they can qualify for the Champions League this year, and they will, even if it's a draw, which is probably the most likely result in this game, in truth. But I still think that Union will push for the win towards the end, and as will Frankfurt, because they'll still believe with the quality in their side they should be beating Union Berlin. But I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, but I think both sides will have good seasons, and I think Frankfurt, after a poor start, the first 2 games have really looked good recently. Got that big win in the Champions League, and I just think it'll be a draw, but possibly Union being slightly the more likely winners here.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you there, but maybe I'll go for 2-2. I think both teams would be able to, do enough to create chances in the attacking third against each other. So I'll go for a 2-2 draw on that one. Just some chat in from Johnny B. So I hope you're doing well this evening, Johnny, and enjoying what is ultimately a rather one-sided game with us. But Johnny just saying, sick of seeing Bayern winning the Bundesliga all the time, much like every Bundesliga fan, unfortunately, Johnny. But it's not admirable because they strip all the next best kind of Bundesliga sides. So yeah, unfortunately, that is very much the case at the moment. Case in point, most recently, Bayern taking Nagelsmann and Upamecano and Sabitzer from RB Leipzig a couple of seasons ago. So yeah, it's not a great look for the league, is it, Mark? But at least we've got a bit of an early difference so far this season, which has been very entertaining, hasn't it?
Yeah, I actually think that certain teams, the smaller teams especially, have led the way for how to beat Bayern this season. I just don't think Leverkusen have bothered to try hard enough in this game, and I think they've gone too attacking, and the best way to beat Bayern is to, close the space, isn't it? And they've just not done that today. And, the likes of Augsburg and, especially Union Berlin have shown the way to the bigger sides how to do it, really, in my opinion. And I still believe, despite this impressive performance, that it's not a foregone conclusion that Bayern will win the league this year, simply because, I know Mane's got the goal today, but he's not looked even close to being as prolific as Lewandowski. And he's the kind of guy that got them through games in the past. And I just think this year, if as you say, teams like Augsburg, Gladbach, and, some of the teams that have sort of, even Stuttgart a few weeks ago, if they can continue that level of performance against Bayern, then they will draw a lot of games. I think they'll draw more than they'll lose. But the problem is today Leverkusen just they've not closed the space. They've not looked really fired up at times. And that's what you've got to do against Bayern Munich. You've got to treat it like a cup final, and Leverkusen haven't done that today.
Yeah, I guess it's often the emotive performances that kind of draw the best out of the teams that are playing Bayern, I guess, and indeed kind of sit in to a degree, and then are able to hit Bayern on the break, aka what Gladbach did to them, although circa Jan Sommer being amazing. Stuttgart did it to an extent, as did Union Berlin, and even Augsburg. Anyway, but back to the predictions. So we've got a lot of other games to get to. Leipzig, Bochum, Mark. I mean, this looks like a pretty tricky one for Bochum to go away to Leipzig and try and get anything from that game.
Yeah, I think this is a good opportunity, for obviously the manager to kind of really get stuck in and get a few goals. The likes of Nkunku to get back into form, who's been pretty much non-existent this season, which is very surprising, really. But, Bochum, they also have a new manager for this game as well. I think they got a guy from Vitesse Arnhem in the Netherlands. So, a bit of an unknown choice, but, it's a relatively decent appointment, a side that regularly qualify for European competition over in Holland. So I think, Leipzig they've been such a weird side this year, haven't they? Because they battered Dortmund, completely schooled Dortmund, in fact, and then went and lost 3-0 at Gladbach the week after. So, but I think, it's got to be the first name on your accumulator. It's got to be a matter of how many for me for Leipzig here. And I'm going to go for a big win. I'm going to go for a 5-0 win here for Leipzig. I just think they'll really use this as a game where they can just go super attacking and just try and as the ball come. They got the first point, but I think they were lucky to get that point against Köln. Really, Köln should have won the game in the second half, but I think I'm going to go for a 5-0 win for Leipzig here.
Yeah, I had 5 in my head, so I'll stick with that as well. Good question from Michael Smith in the chat. We'll come to that in 1 second, Michael. But just a very quick reminder, guys, because we haven't actually said it yet. But one of our partners, of course, who we're in association with this season, the brilliant Bundesliga boxes. Just to let everyone know, I'll bring it up on the screen, that their Christmas Bundesliga boxes are now live for your pre-ordering enjoyment. So make sure you get over to Bundesliga boxes, either via Twitter, just search Bundesliga boxes, or go to the website, and then you can get your Christmas presents sorted nice and early for a partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, son or daughter, anything. It'll sort you out, an absolute treat. So make sure you get over to Bundesliga boxes and get yourself a nice early Christmas present sorted. And right, back over to the comments. So Michael has asked, Mark, he has asked, do you guys feel that Bayern will start to relax for the second half, or should they relax in the second half with the Champions League coming up, and obviously after the international break just finishing? So yeah, maybe some changes early on in the match, or do you think, Nagelsmann maybe might have to learn a few lessons, because he kind of did that against Stuttgart, didn't he? It backfired.
Yeah, he has done that quite a few times in recent, since he took over. Yeah, but I don't think we'll see that in this game, because he knows that, if Leverkusen get an early goal, then it's not out of the question even now. And as a professional manager, he's got to realize that, the game isn't 100% won yet. I think maybe after 65, 70 minutes, if they still have a 3+ goal lead, then yeah, we'll see a few changes. But you've got to remember that I think they play Victoria Pilsen. So, it's not a game where, obviously they still need to win that game because they want to top the Champions League group, but it's not a team that, I don't know if it's home or away this midweek, but I guess if it's away, it would be a trickier game than being at home. But, I just think they'll first and foremost, they need to win this game of football, because they did go into this game with 4 games without a win. And while, let's be honest, they're like 99% sure to win it at the moment, but as a professional manager, he has to realize that it's not 100% won. So I think we'll see at least 20 minutes of them going for it and trying to get a 4th and a 5th goal, and then we'll probably see a wind down for the last 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah, and Michael basically added to the same degree as that, Mark. Will Bayern keep on going to pour on the momentum and the pressure, so that they can gather momentum, because they've got Pilsen in the Champions League double header coming up. But in terms of their Bundesliga fixtures, it's far from straightforward. So obviously up next to them is Der Klassiker away from home in Dortmund, then Freiburg at home, Hoffenheim away, and Mainz and Hertha following on from that. So I think they do need that momentum, don't they? Because that is not an easy run of fixtures.
Not at all. No, I think this game would have been included in that, but obviously Leverkusen just aren't in a position at the moment really to challenge them. But they would have feared this game as well, because, Leverkusen are a good team in the Bundesliga, and they've got, especially on paper, they've got a very good football team on paper, a lot of really good players who will probably lead the club in the next year or two, because, a lot of the likes of Schick, Adoy. Well, Adoy's only on loan, but Frimpong. These are really highly rated players throughout the Bundesliga and Europe at the moment. But yeah, I agree that some of the teams that are coming up are in a lot better fettle, as they'd say in the north of England. But it's the likes of Dortmund are playing well, Freiburg very, very well, Hoffenheim also very, very well, I would say. So, I think they've got tougher challenges to come in this Leverkusen side in the Bundesliga.
Indeed. Let's quickly go back to the predictions then for the rest of the games in Matchweek 8. So we've also got SC Freiburg hosting Mainz. Again, interesting game to call this. Mainz's away form has been completely different to what it was last season, so it gives you more confidence that they can compete on the road. But still fancy Freiburg. I'd go 2-1 to the home side.
Yeah, I think you've got to go Freiburg, even though a lot of their players nowadays are getting called up for international. So it's not like in the past when they could have a 2-week rest. I think even Grifo went to Italy, which is just proves how highly sought after he is, really getting in the Italian squad. But I think, it's you've got to go Freiburg here. And I think Mainz are having a good season, but it's going to be a 2-0. I'd go for it for Freiburg.
Yeah, not a problem. Just as we make sure that we get the team lineups back on screen for everyone to see, and any changes and subs that we will tell you about once the second half gets going. Next game, huge in terms of the relegation race already, probably this season. Wolfsburg hosting my boy Stuttgart. I already feel like it's a massive game. I know it's silly to say that, and I know it's really early on in the season, but Stuttgart are one of two teams without a win in the league. Obviously, that includes Bochum. They've not been playing badly, but that it's not about performances. At the end of the day, it's about points on the board. So, what do you reckon to this one, Mark? You think my boys are going to struggle again?
To be honest, it's very hard with Stuttgart because I don't think they've been that bad. I really don't. I think the performance level has been better than last season. I really do, significantly better. But it's just they're not scoring at the right times and they're conceding at the wrong. I know it sounds simple, but that's how it's been this season. They should have at least 2 wins on the board for me, no question. But as you say, it is a big game because I don't think Wolfsburg will be close to going down, but they're not playing well at the moment. And obviously, they only have 1 win on the board, and it's a game that they need to win to. I'm actually going to go for an away win. I think Stuttgart might come good here, and I think they'll get a 2-1 away win. I just think they've got to, basically, because if you start, the longer you go without a win, they're going to start losing confidence. And then if performances also drop, then they're going to get relegated, So I do believe that they weren't that bad, far from being bad, in fact, in the first 7 games. So I'm going to go for them to get a big win here, 2-1 away from home.
Well, no Nemecha for Wolfsburg, so that's good news for Stuttgart fans around the world. But I think Patrick Wimmer is quite close to a return. They're very talented winger, so that would be dangerous if he's fit and firing. God, I don't like predicting the Stuttgart games. I'll go 1-0 to the lads. Just try and scrape out something somehow. Right, I think the second half is going to be. The second half is underway, so we'll come back to predictions once we've kind of settled back into the second half for the rest of the. I think there's 3 other games we haven't covered, and we will get to your comments, Ben, in a moment as well. So, Mark, just kind of talk us through what's happening in the early pattern of the second half, and then we can return to Ben's comment.
Yeah, so we have had a couple of substitutions as well, actually, for the away side. No surprises, really. So Mitchell Bakker, no surprise either, has gone off. He's been replaced by Piero Hincapi. And actually, Frimpong has gone off as well. They brought Charles Aranguiz, who, to be honest, probably should have started the game because he is like their battling central midfielder. A little bit surprised to see Frimpong go off. I don't know if he's had a knock. He wasn't good, but he is playing out of position technically, isn't he? And a very heavy challenge going in there from the Leverkusen man in the area there. I don't know if they'll go and have a look back at that on VAR, but as things stand, Leverkusen are going forward. There's almost nobody forward for Leverkusen, but good play from Adoy. Very good play from Adoy. And he, again, good possession here for Leverkusen in the half of Bayern. But yeah, going to be interesting to see if Aranguiz can really add a bit of like solidity to the team. I would have started him, to be honest, but decent ball coming in there, but headed away just before it gets to Schick. But it's going to be a throw-in for Leverkusen. But I would imagine they'll double-check that because it looked like a foul to me, to be honest. Oh, it's very, very...
Was that the
Kosunu, Kosunu goal. They're just checking it by the look of it, but it seems though it's been waved away and they're not going to do any further damage. It's one of them. It's an easier decision to give when it's 3-0, isn't it, rather than when it's 0-0 or 1-0. But yeah, they're going to wave that one away. I think for me, it was probably right not to give a penalty, but there was a little bit in it. And I think, at 3-0, there's not going to be that many complaints. But what did you think, Rory? Do you think it's a penalty or?
Yeah, no penalty for me. Fair enough challenge. I mean, I'm not sure what that was from Hudson-Odoi. Just not enough in it, not to be a stonewall penalty or to overturn a referee's decision anyway. Second half's just settling in now. So obviously, let's see what reaction we get for Leverkusen here on Over the Bars. Watchalong of Bayern Munich versus Leverkusen. Hope everyone that was watching is doing well. Make sure you smash a like on the video, please. Comment along with your thoughts on Bayern, on Leverkusen, on the game itself, anything in between, any questions. We're happy to answer absolutely as Bayern come forward again. And please do make sure that you subscribe to the channel to make sure that you don't miss out on any brilliant content that's going on the channel at the moment. Brilliant kind of community that we're building on the channel. As always, love everyone, returning and new viewers. So yeah, really appreciate it if you smash that red button and get involved. So just going back to Ben's comment then, Mark, in regards to Bayern, of course, and how they were so against the Super League, and they wouldn't because they knew they wouldn't be able to compete with the other sides in it. I'd love, and on a second note, I'd love Freiburg or Union or a team like that to finish in the top three. Do you want to kind of tackle that first bit then from Ben's comment, Mark, just in regards to Bayern maybe not being able to compete? Interesting kind of thought there in terms of the Super League itself. Obviously, they wouldn't be able to be in the Super League regardless because of obviously the 50+1 rule.
No, I don't believe that it's that they couldn't compete. I mean, I think there's no real truth to that. But I've got to admit there is a bit of question why they were so against it. I think I'd like to think that it was, they have this kind of German football spirit that they're all for the fans. But, I do know a few. I speak a lot, quite often, to people about Bayern Munich, and people have kind of different views really in Germany about the club. Some people think they're a self-made club, and they use all of the partners are like Munich-based companies, the likes of T-Mobile, obviously Allianz as well, which are all based in Munich. But other people think no, they're just like basically what Ben was saying there, that basically they're just a kind of money grabbing club who just want to asset strip all the other teams in the league. But yeah, I don't believe that they couldn't compete. I think they could compete, but I think why they were against it is I don't know. But I think it's good that they were against it. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I can understand why people would question why they were against it in some ways.
Yeah, interesting comment nonetheless, but I completely agree, Ben, in regards to we'd love Union or Freiburg to come in the top three or even above. Who knows? That so far the season has been pretty unpredictable, really. So I'm sure anything could happen. So fingers crossed that does go ahead and happen. So back to the game then. So about 6 minutes into the second half, no change in the scoreline as of yet. Here comes Sadio Mane down the left-hand side, skinned his man. I think that's Kosnunu, but it's cleared away. So Bayern just looking to settle into their stride. Do you think, Mark, that they'll be gunning for more goals? They certainly were playing with a real kind of flow and tempo in the first half. They weren't wanting to slow things down. The multi-ball system was well in play. Even like the ball boys were getting that ball back onto the pitch as soon as possible to really kind of tire out the Leverkusen players. And do you think they're going for a similar sort of, I don't know, just for the first 10 minutes to play quite quickly, get that fourth goal, and then they can start to slow the tempo down?
I think not at all, really. So far from what I've seen, they look very happy to slow the game down. Yeah, we've seen already, I think we didn't see any balls back to Manuel Neuer in the first half. We've already seen 2 in the second half, which is usually a sign that, team isn't looking at so attacking. But a good ball through there, a bit of a long ball to Leverkusen have got a half chance, but Schick, good defending from De Ligt there to stop Schick from getting on it. I think it was Diaby who tried to thread Schick through, but I've been really impressed with De Ligt actually in a Bayern shirt so far, especially in the Champions League, but also in times in the Bundesliga as well. And that was good defending there to stop the big man from the Czech Republic getting in. But Leverkusen are getting a little bit more on the ball now, but I think Bayern Munich don't look really anywhere near as up for it from what I've seen. So maybe, I think a few of you in the comments were tipping that you expected Bayern to slow down, and it very much looks that way so far. Still doesn't mean they won't score goals, though, because we know how good they are going forward. Yeah, Leverkusen will, it's probably a little bit too late to be saying it now, but they are looking a little bit better, although a crazy ball there. Jonathan Tah did well. Awful ball there, almost put him in trouble, but he did well to head the ball away and retain possession. But now it's with Musiala currently on the centre circle, passed into Sané. Good defending there, though, from Andrić. They surrounded him and eventually won the ball back. But again, this has been the problem all game. They just can't hold it for long enough in that midfield. And Bayern Munich once again win the ball back through Sabitzer. So yeah, Kimmich on the ball in the centre circle at the moment. Very, very slow at the moment, the build-up play from Bayern. But it suits them. At the end of the day, they're 3-0 up. They've got a busy fixture schedule between now and the World Cup, really, haven't they? And I'd imagine they're going to be playing 2 games a week between now and the World Cup. So yeah, it seems as though the answer is that they are going to take it a bit easier in the second half. I could do with Alphonso Davies getting a few more points for my fantasy football. I think Rory you've already got enough points for the week, really, with Musiala.
Yeah, well, I mean, it looks like he's up for it though, Mark, because he's just set the speed record for this season, running. I think he said 35.97. Is that kilometers per hour? Miles per hour? It can't be miles per hour.
Kilometers.
Whatever it was quick. So he's obviously clearly. Good save that by Hardecki. Should be another one for Mane there. Just as the man we were talking about, Davis has got on the ball. Bayern in the final third of the pitch right now, looking dangerous, looking like they're probing. Oh, crikey. De Ligt with a lovely strike as well. So that leads us to a corner, I believe, Mark, if it's not already been taken.
Yeah, it's going to be Kimmich over it. Yeah, as you say, this is what I was saying. Like Bayern, they're not playing with the same intensity, but they can still create chances. And as you say, Mane really should have scored. It was actually a good save. 2 good saves, actually, from Hradecky, who will be looking to make up for a poor first-half performance. The ball has just been headed out well. It seems there's an injury, but Bayern are playing on there. Oh, the ball's in the back of the net for Bayern, but it looks as though seems Mane's scored, but it seems as though the ref has pulled the ball back, I think. Is he going to allow that to stand? Or there was a player down. Kusunu was down, but it seems as though the goal's been given for Mane. He's not going to be the most popular man amongst the Leverkusen players and fans there, because it was clear that he was down with a head injury and he continued to put the ball in the back of the net. He was down for a good 10, 15 seconds before the ball ended up in. It looks as though he's offside anyway. Surely that's got to be offside anyway. I think he's going to get disallowed for offside.
Okay, he can't be, can he? If Nunu's the active player on the floor.
Yeah, I forgot. Surely this is very controversial, actually, because I'm just looking at the replay and De Ligt smashed him in the head. It's not one of those kind of fake dives, He's De Ligt in the corner really went in through the back, and I think Mane's been a little bit cheeky there, to be honest. I know he wants goals, but not when you've got a man down injured with a head injury, and I don't know what's going to happen here. We could even see a situation where Bayern might give a goal back to Leverkusen, and that's probably what they should do, in all honesty, in my opinion. But I think it's a bad head injury, and he might give a foul. I think what might happen is the referee might give a foul against De Ligt because he's looking at the VAR. That's what he should do, in my opinion, to clear this up. And I think it was a foul because he headed him in the back of the head, But they seem to be looking at very close. I think he'll disallow this. I think he'll disallow it.
What do we think in the comments? Anyone that's watching, should this goal?
Just a decision coming now. It looks as though he's made his decision. What's going to happen? He's given a foul. I think he's given a foul. Yeah, it's not going to count. Yeah, which is the right decision in the end, because that would have been heavily controversial. Nagelsmann's not happy. He's shaking his head. He thought his striker had his second goal of the night, but for me, first of all, it's definitely a foul, and second, it was clear that he was down for a second, well before the ball was put in the back of the net. And I think the referee's got to do a bit more there and stop the game, because it was a head injury, really. Well, do you think it was correct, Rory, to disallow that?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, De Ligt makes a genuine attempt for the ball, but he does quite clearly get Koscielny on the back of the back of the head. So it's a head injury. He goes down quite clearly. So the game should be stopped before Musiala. I mean, brilliant work by Musiala again.
Yeah, it was. It would have been another possible assist
could have
for him, but
yeah. But yeah, no, right decision. VAR working exactly how it is supposed to there. Just getting involved for the big moments to clearly correct an error. So we're back to 3-0. And saving the blushes of Leverkusen for now. Can they use that as inspiration to get themselves back into this game? Maybe clutching at straws, but we shall see. Just as Alphonso Davies speeds down the left-hand side into Musiala, cutting inside into, wow, that was a terrible finish. Leroy Sané not quite getting the right contact on that shot mark as it stays 3-0.
Yeah, Sané's finishing hasn't always been the best in the Bundesliga, has it? But that was another example. But yeah, they look well and truly fired up again now, don't they? We were just saying for the first probably 7-8 minutes of the second half, they didn't really do anything. But since then, they've had a goal disallowed, rightly in my opinion, but 2 or 3 good saves they forced as well from Hnatsky, who looks to kind of save face really after a dreadful first half, and he has done that so far. But looks like we're going to get another couple of subs from Leverkusen as well. Clearly, Seoane isn't happy enough with what he's seen in this half. I think Asmoon is one of them that's going to come on. I'm not sure who the other guy is. But we are going to see, as I said, Asmoon come on around the hour. But
is it Adli?
It could be, yeah. Oh, it's more good. Musiala has to, I think he's a great player, but he must be having one of his best ever games for Bayern tonight. It's just been absolutely ridiculous. And how good can this guy be, really? Because for me, I've always thought he was great, but tonight, I think he's gone to a new level, Rory.
He just glides past players, doesn't he? Just making the wrong decision just there after beating 2 players with
Schick coming off, actually. Schick is off.
Wow.
Yes, Asmoon and Adli are going to come on.
Well, I mean, I guess
and Odoi off as well, so a big statement there. Clearly not happy with the performance of probably his 2-star men, really.
Yeah, Patrik Schick doesn't look overly impressed. I mean, I can't. I could probably count the amount of times he's touched the ball on one hand. He's just not been in the game. Hudson-Odoi, a better effort or performance. I don't think he was terrible, but again, starved of the ball. Tried to work hard, but ultimately not his evening. Let's see what we get from these two. Both talented players on the ball. Adli, a young forward who has done well in parts for Leverkusen. Asmoon we've not seen enough from yet, but has a really good reputation coming into the Bundesliga. So let's see what we can get from either of them. Just as Hincapié loses possession down the left-hand side, and Leverkusen seem to be hunting in packs a little bit more, Mark. But obviously, the more that they press Bayern, the more that gaps are going to appear. And I think they've just got to pick and choose their battles here, because there's no, I don't know, do you want to go all guns blazing and lose 5-6-7-0?
No, I think, to be honest, Leverkusen might just be better just cutting the losses, as you say, and taking a 3-0. But it's easier said than done, but they're not going to get back into this game. And as you say, they've not been good enough. I mean, do you want, you could say get a goal, but then you could end up shipping 5 or 6, so what's better, really? It's hard to know, because at the end of the day, it's Bayer Leverkusen, so they've still got to have the mentality. They can still get a goal or 2 out of this game, but it's just not, they've not been at it tonight, really, ultimately, and probably lucky to be still only 3-0 down, to be honest. And more good play from Musiala, but actually finally a good tackle on him by Tapsoba. Yeah, I think Leverkusen started for the first 5-7 minutes quite well in this half, but since then it's just been again backs to the wall. It seems, I think that initial miss from Mane has fired Bayern up again, and since then they've just been dominant this last 6-7 minutes. Alphonso Davies with a pretty poor ball, but it almost reached Pavard, sorry. Oh, it's not even going to go out. He's tried to run it out for a corner as well. I think it was Hina Carpier, nothing's going for them at the minute. They've ended up winning a throw deep into Leverkusen's half, and just dominating the game. Really, a good ball out there from Kimmich to Davies. Oh, it's going to be Davies is going to have a shot, is he? It's ended up being a corner, but I think Davis should have had a shot, really. He seems to be a bit shy of shooting at the minute, Davis. I don't know, like in the past, he always used to shoot in that position, but he ended up, it was very scrappy, and it probably a right decision to give a corner. He fell over, and I think he was looking for a penalty, but nothing was given. It's ended up being a corner for Bayern Munich, which will be whipped in again in a minute. Just taking the timer, trying to run that, not really run the clock down, but not trying to use too much excess energy. Kimmich is going to put the ball in. Looping corner, which goes straight out for a goal kick for Leverkusen.
Not the most kind of clean challenge by the defender. I think it was Kuznunu. Very, very clumsy. Well, it wasn't a penalty, but certainly wasn't the best defending either.
The pass to be. Oh my God! Sorry.
Davis.
Leverkusen should have had a goal. Leverkusen should be in. I can't believe they've not scored that. First of all, it's a shot from Adli, which is saved, and then it falls to Azmoun, who's got to shoot, and he tries to pass. What's he doing? It should be 3-1. 100% should be 3-1.
Oh, yeah, it's a great... Oh, what is he doing? Oh,
it's a great save from Neuer, but they've got to find a way of getting that into the back of the net at the end of the day. Actually, Mane, another controversial decision here from Julian Nagelsmann. Mane is going off, actually, which I really didn't expect. He doesn't look happy, but maybe this is something he's got to get used to now. Maybe he's not going to be used for 90 minutes. I don't know. He looks a little bit happier today. He doesn't look as dejected as what he has done the last 3 or 4 games, but might be a bit surprised to get substituted at this time, unless he's been warned beforehand. I don't know. Sabitzer will join him on the bench. Goretzka's going to get a run out. Hasn't seen much of Goretzka because this Bayern midfield is just so stacked with quality nowadays. But looking forward to seeing him. Always a player I've enjoyed watching. Serge Gnabry is going to get a run out too. Another player who's really kind of faded out of the first team spotlight this season, hasn't he, Rory? And he's been a player that's been first choice for years, really, for Bayern.
Yeah, he has been, and he'll want to put his stamp on this game as well, as will Goretzka, currently behind the pivots or the duo of Kimmich and Sabitzer. So they're certainly not going to be holding back in this Bayern team. There's so much competition for place. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised for both of them to be completely on their games and really trying to make a positive influence. There, Serge Gnabry already making a tackle and winning the ball to put Bayern on another attack, which comes to nothing in the end. But yeah, still 25 minutes to go here on Over the Bar. Watch along this evening of Bayern versus Leverkusen. Hope everyone that's watching is doing well. And is enjoying our coverage. Make sure that you like the video, comment along who you're supporting tonight. Is there a lot of love for the Bayern, the champions? Is there, the underdog card? Are you supporting Leverkusen and hoping for a bit of a miracle comeback? And who knows, we might have had it if Adli had put that one away or Azmoun had done better with the rebound. So still 25 minutes to go, still time for loads of action and goals. So enjoy with us on the channel and let everyone know, friends and family, to get involved as well. Adli doing well there. Not well. Upamecano does equally well in the end there, using his strength there, Mark. But Adli's looked bright so far. Azmoun wins the ball back as well. Just a half decent spell of 5 minutes this for Leverkusen.
Yeah, definitely. It should have ended up in a goal. Yeah, it was a great save from Neuer, don't get me wrong. But I think, I wouldn't totally blame Adli, but Azmoun's got to do better there, hasn't he? Because I think if he just takes a quick shot there, it'd probably end up in the back of the net, or at least a shot on target. But he tries to mess around with it. Maybe, I guess that's the lack of confidence that players that sit on the bench often have, I guess. He should probably just have hit it early. And I think we'd be talking about 3-1 here. But Neuer did very, very well, really well to get, first of all, to make the save and then to make himself pretty awkward. Obviously, in the end, Azmoun just rolled the ball out for a goal kick, which was pretty poor. But, I think, they are quite a good duo, these, but I think Adli and Azmoun are quality players to bring off the bench. You know, obviously Azmoun a regular goal scorer for Zenit in the Champions League. So yeah, they're very good players to be bringing off the bench, but also they've got a point to prove as well, because they probably wonder why they're not starting ahead of Schick at the minute, because Schick has just been poor this season, in my opinion. And, you know, you got to wonder at the minute what his future. I'm not going to say what his future is. It's probably a bit early to say that, but he's got to play better, because there's quality players in that Leverkusen side that can come and replace him. But yeah, Leverkusen with more possession in the Bayern half, and we're going to see a ball coming in here. Are we? No, we're not. We are now. So the cross comes in, and it's just been deflected, but Alphonso Davies does well to stop the ball from getting to Serdar Azmoun. Azmoun quickly takes a throw in. No, he doesn't actually. He gives the ball to Kuzunu, who's going to put the ball. Is he going to go for the long throw? Not Leverkusen style, a long throw. So he's going to play it short to Azmoun, who puts in a nice some decent football being played at the moment by Leverkusen, but it's a pretty soft shot in the end by Diaby straight into the arms of Manuel Neuer. But yeah, definitely Leverkusen playing a lot better now. But it's probably a little bit too little too late, as they would say. But if Leverkusen can get away with a 3-1 here, they'll see it as a decent night, to be honest, because, you know, the first half they were just really poor and just outplayed, really. But yeah, Bayern Munich will probably see a goal or two, but it's not happening so far.
Not at the moment. Still plenty of time, though. Evening to both Ballum and Chris joining in the chat here. Ballum asking, firstly and foremost, saying it looks like Bayern will probably win the match. Interesting to see how Leipzig and Dortmund and Union do in terms of the title race. Is Nkunku leaving the Bundesliga or only a rumour part of the France World Cup squad? I mean, I've seen the reports myself, Ballum, and it's that. Sounds like there's rumours going around of a secret medical that's happened with Chelsea, and the release clause of 60 million euros also been bandied around, but I don't know the ins and outs of it. I would be surprised if Nkunku didn't leave at the end of the season, frankly. Do you agree with that, Mark? And with the new contract of Nkunku, I thought we would have seen it a slightly higher number than 60 million euros. But I know Bundesliga clubs seem to undervalue players in terms of their release clauses, it seems.
Yeah, they do. They really do, don't they? Yeah. But I guess that's part of the way they managed to get players to sign on, you know, because you got to remember that the Bundesliga is one of the big hotspots for young players. You know, young players come to the Bundesliga because they know they're going to get starting time. But unfortunately, it's not a league they want to spend most of the career in, simply because of the salaries, you know. Like the Premier League can just offer much, much higher salaries. At the end of the day, in your job, if you were offered to work for like 2 or 3 times less, you wouldn't do it at the end of the day, you know. So you can understand why players want to go to England. But yeah, I'm not sure whether Chelsea's a good move for him, because I'll be honest, I think Chelsea have been like, you know, they don't seem to really use players in a good way. From what I can see, they seem to be like making a lot of poor signings. They seem to be going down the same route as Man United, to be honest, Chelsea, the last 2 or 3 years, since they won the Champions League, really. They did all that good work, Chelsea, to get like the likes of Reece James and all that into the team. And now they've gone the same way as like Van Ten Hag Man United, basically. And they're just signing a load of players that don't fit the system and stuff. And, you know, I just think if I were him, I wouldn't go to Chelsea. I would rather go to probably, you know, PSG or something like that rather than Chelsea, really, at the moment. But I hope he stays. But, you know, this is unfortunate. This is part and parcel of the Bundesliga. You know, clubs know that they have to sell players to keep going. And I'm sure they will replace him well.
Yeah, agreed. And yeah, just to say, completely expect him to be part of the World Cup squad in France for France in Qatar. Yeah, you know, incredibly talented player. So yeah, I would fully expect him to be involved for sure. Chris has asked, and it's probably mainly applies to you, Mark. What stadiums have you been to in Germany, and which ones do you want to go to the most? Well, what stadiums are you on your bucket list, Mark, at the moment? Just as the game is still at 3-0 and just having a bit of a lull, so we'll answer that question.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, it's which stadiums have it depends if you mean it, what have I seen or what have I seen a game in. Like, what I've actually seen a game in, only FC Nuremberg and Hertha Berlin, the Olympiastadion, and the Max Morlock Stadion in Nuremberg. But in terms of stadiums I've seen, it's been a lot more. Yeah, I've seen like Greuther Fürth Stadium, Hoffenheim Stadium, Bayern Munich Stadium, Dynamo Dresden Stadium, a few smaller teams as well, like Würzburg, Stuttgart Stadium. I think I sent you a picture when I went past that, Rory, as well, didn't I? So, yeah, the Mercedes-Benz Arena I've seen. But in terms of seeing games, yeah, I do. But actually, I will be adding another one to the list. I think in a week or two, I will be going to the Augsburg versus Wolfsburg game, which doesn't sound like the best on paper, but I'm hoping it's going to be an entertaining match. So yeah, that, and also catching another Nuremberg game pretty soon as well. So, I do like to get to the stadiums as much as possible. The issue is that in Germany, most of the teams are based in the Nordrhein-Westfalen area, which is like really far from Nuremberg, basically. And it's like, but yeah, I definitely plan a trip up to Nordrhein-Westfalen, maybe see maybe a Gladbach. I would say on my bucket list, obviously Dortmund, I think, is on just about every football fan's bucket list, really. The yellow wall. I would say Borussia Mönchengladbach as well. Even FC Köln, I would like to see live. It always looks like an amazing atmosphere there. In Germany, I do like this kind of culture of the kind of Traditionsvereins, like the kind of traditional clubs. And I'd like to see basically all of them really live. Also, Union Berlin, I think it'd be very hard to get a ticket for them, or Freiburg. But I mean, I'd be really interested in seeing any of those kind of traditional clubs. What about you, Rory? Who's on your list?
Yeah, I'd really like to go to Union and Freiburg. Would have been brilliant to have gone to Freiburg's old stadium, but even their new one, Europa Park, would be fantastic to go to. Dortmund, of course, Signal Iduna Park would be well up there on mine. So yeah, so many, and got lots of plans, hopefully for this season as well. So it will come. So we're really looking forward to doing that further down the line. Just make sure everyone to please do drop us a like on the show. It really helps out whilst we're live on the channel as well. So that'd be really helpful, guys. So really appreciate that. I hope everyone that's watching is enjoying and really enjoying all the comments and chat that's coming in at the moment. Dan agreeing in the comments saying, call me a hipster, but I want to go to Union Berlin game. And pretty much every former Uberliga side loving that kind of thought process, Dan. Absolutely agree with you on that. But yeah, back to the game then, Mark. So we've got 15 minutes, just less, with obviously potentially a good chunk of added on time. What are you expecting here? Just to Bayern maybe even get that fourth goal. We've got our legend Choupo-Moting on the pitch, so he's always due a goal, although he's just fouled one very clumsily as well. So yeah, can Leverkusen just give their fans something to cheer? Give me something to cheer in me. Leverkusen top tonight. Can they get themselves a goal?
Yeah, I think it's still possible because, as I say, Bayern, they don't keep many clean sheets, and really good play there from Asmoon, who's actually had a really good game since he came on, apart from that mess up in front of goal. Really good play from him, but they've just had another kind of effort, but it's just easily saved by, he even saved it with his feet, actually. Manuel Neuer, he didn't even catch the ball, but yeah, I think Leverkusen probably can get a goal, but Bayern are just looking to, as often happens with teams that have a lot of fixtures, they're just looking to see the game out now. I think, as you say, the likes of Leon Goretzka will be looking to impress. As you say, Choupo-Moting, he's on, but he doesn't get many goals in the Bundesliga. Most of his goals come in the Champions League or in the Cup, really, don't they? It tends to be that way, but he'd fancy a Bundesliga goal. A bit of a cult hero, as you say, really, but yeah, it's Bayern clearly. I think whenever Moting comes on, you know that Bayern is looking to kill the game, really. Let's be honest. But I mean, a true legend of a player, but he's not obviously we all know Bayern, he probably knows himself that he's not really a Bayern Munich quality player. But, obviously when you had a guy like Lewandowski, you needed someone as a replacement who would be happy to play pretty much every game as a replacement, pretty much. So I think that's why he spent so many years at the club. But yeah, might get a little bit more game time this year because he is more of a traditional number 9, isn't he? Ahead of Mane. But as of yet this season, he's mostly been just a sub coming on in the last 10, 15 minutes, as we've seen today. Yeah, I think the likes of Serge Gnabry will want to get a bit more involved in the game because, he has really faded out of the team this season. He's gone from probably having 4 or 5 seasons as first choice, and this season he just can't seem to get a start, really, Rory. And, the same with Goretzka, really, another player who I think 2 years ago he was I think he even won Bayern Player of the Season 2 years ago, and now it seems as though he can't get a start for the club.
Yeah, well, it always happens to players, doesn't it, throughout their career? If you're playing for a top team, there'll be times where you have to bide your time because he's been injured and he has to work his way back into the team. Oh, great tackle there by Nkapie.
Yeah, he's been good actually.
Nkapie
has been good.
Yeah, bringing a bit of South American fire to the game. That was a full-blooded challenge. If he gets that wrong, it's possibly a red card and a pen. But good tackle there. But it goes out for a Bayern corner, so we'll have to see if they make the most out of that as Kimmich is walking over.
Nothing made of that, guys. It's straight in the hands of Hudavsky at the minute.
Okay, well, in that case, let's come to a question in the chat. Mark has asked, do you guys think Bielefeld will come back anytime soon? They're a side I have a soft spot for. My dad was based there in the British Army days. Lots of love for Bielefeld, but isn't there from a British point of view, Mark? And probably from that point of view, to getting my marks mixed up here. But they're not going great guns in the Zweite at the moment, are they? So probably not anytime soon. But if they can stay, which they should stay up in the Zweite this season, then they can build again, Mark, and hopefully we'll see him back in the Bundesliga in the non-too-distant future. Yeah,
the unfortunate thing for Bielefeld is they lost pretty much their entire team because they actually had quite a few assets. I think they only managed to keep like Okugawa actually stayed, which surprised me a bit, but they're pretty much playing with the reserves of last season, really. They lost so many key players and they've really struggled. I think they got a big win in the last game, though, which might give them a bit more confidence. But the way down there in the Zweite at the minute, and I definitely don't think this season will be anywhere near promotion. As you say, it's just about staying up for them. And the same with Greuther Fürth as well. I mean, they're bottom currently. Or they were. I think they got a win in the last game, so they're not quite bottom, but they're really struggling anyway. It took them 7-8 games to get the first win of the season. So they're another side that's the problem in the Bundesliga. The teams, they have to go back to having a Zweite Bundesliga budget. That's the thing. In the Premier League, they get these parachute payments. And I just think, it's very hard for teams that get relegated in the Zweite. Even the likes of Hamburg have spent, 5-6 years now in the Zweite. I mean, I know we saw last year Werder Bremen and Schalke went straight back up, but that's very much against the trend, really. And I think this season we'll see both sides struggle. But I'd like to see both sides stay up because I think, even though I'm a Nuremberg fan and Fürth are the big rivals, I think I don't like to see teams go from the Bundesliga straight down to the third league in back-to-back years. It screams of decay, really, when that happens. So I'd like to see both sides, especially Bielefeld, kind of re-establish themselves and push on for promotion again next season.
Yeah, absolutely. Fingers crossed for Bielefeld. Balam asking why we're not dressed up for Oktoberfest. Obviously, just joking around there. Mark's been indulging in Oktoberfest traditions and helping himself probably to a couple of steins here and there, which I'm sure have been very enjoyable for you, Mark, over the last... was it last weekend you were over there?
Yeah, it was last Saturday. I always love Oktoberfest, but what a lot of people don't realize is that here in Bavaria, we have beer festivals all year, basically, in the summer. So it's not just a one-off kind of thing for Munich. It's like the Munich Volksfest. They call it Volksfest, which is like People's Festival. And basically, the Oktoberfest is the Munich version. Nuremberg also has 2 or 3 in the year, but Oktoberfest is kind of special because it's got such an international environment, and you see people from a lot of British go over there, Irish, even Americans are there, and people from all over the world, So, but yeah, definitely the mass. We don't call them Steins over here. We actually call them mass. It's like 1 litre beers, and you can pretty much only buy a mass there. So you got to neck them down. It's a brilliant atmosphere, and they sing like German drinking songs and things. It's it really feels as though you're part of something special when you go down to Oktoberfest. So recommend it to anyone who really is interested in Germany or visiting Germany as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as Bayern breaking forward here a little bit, but they've been given a free kick, foul on Goretzka, so a chance to add a fourth. So we're into 82 and a half, 83 minute territory. So yeah, it looks like the game obviously is well and truly be gone for Leverkusen, but can they hold on to just keep a clean sheet in the second half, try and take some positives away from the game? Be interesting to see the viewpoint of any Leverkusen fan who's been watching with us tonight, or indeed just in general. But chance for Gnabry to have a go, presuming that this has probably already happened on your screen, Mark, but I'll talk us through it anyhow, just in case. But I'm pretty sure we'll probably be you probably already would have reacted. But here he goes, Gnabry, good effort straight at the goalkeeper.
But we have the fourth goal. We've already got the fourth goal, I'm afraid, Rory. It's a howler again from Mr. Reliable Lukas Hradecky. I mean, you're going to see this on your screen in a minute. I'll let you talk us through it, but it's an absolute howler.
No, what's he done? He slipped. He slips over. Oh, my God. Yeah, goal number 4. Yeah, for Bayern. It's been a night to forget for the Leverkusen goalkeeper. He slips whilst trying to play a reverse pass in his own goalkeeper's box, and and he slips over. He goes straight to Thomas Muller, and he's just there to tap into an empty net. Oh God, what a disaster that was! Oh,
it's a comedy moment, really, isn't it? Let's be honest. But yeah, obviously not for him. Yeah. But...
No, you feel sorry for the keeper. No one goes out there to make mistakes, and he's had a bad evening. Obviously, the goalkeeper, and it's again, it'll be funny to look at the XGs again at the end of this game, as you love them, Mark, because it probably will only be around the 1.5 to 2 for Bayern, and Leverkusen might even be around the ones, I guess. Who knows? We'll see at the end of the game. But yeah, 4-0 game over, and Bayern are sending a message out there to the rest of their title challengers that they're back and ready for business this season, now that the international break is over. So yeah, a bit of a shame for Leverkusen, because their season is just not taking off at all right now. Couple of comments in the live chat in regards to Bielefeld. So John Fleming adding to the fact that we've already had about them kind of being British Army. So Bielefeld was the home of the British Army of the Rhine during the Cold War, and how basically regular British troops get free tickets to the game. So again, maybe that's something that's come down. And then Alan Michaels, so evening to both of you chaps, hope you're both doing well. Saying that his old man was a tank driver there, is where he met his mother. Also a majority through and through, and Tuna, my number 1 team. Bielefeld are my German club. So much love for Bielefeld, which is brilliant to see. And we really hope to see Bielefeld back in the Bundesliga, so we can comment on them for you guys in the seasons to come. Indeed, Steve Timms in the chat. Evening, Steve, has asked, how are Hansa Rostock getting on these days? They had a reputation as being a club with a proper firm in the old days. Good question, Mark. How are Rostock doing these days? Do we know how they're doing in the league at the moment?
Yeah, I'm just checking for you. They are in the Fighter, and they're actually they're doing okay actually. Yeah, the 9th, slap bang mid-table. Yeah, so I guess for them, Fighter Bundesliga is a good effort for them, really. I mean, they're a big club, but they don't really have enough budget to really kind of get into the Bundesliga, really. So they'll just be one of those clubs that are happy to kind of stabilize as a fighter team, really. And that's exactly what they're doing so far this season in 9th place. I think they actually beat Nuremberg a week or two ago. So, yeah, but I think everyone beats Nuremberg so far this season. But, yeah, it's definitely a club which has a very strong fan base in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, which is in the very northeast of Germany. Yeah, and you're right, they are known as being a bit of a hard man's club, along with Dynamo Dresden. They're known as being like one of the harder firms in Germany, along with like the Eintracht Frankfurt and Dynamo Dresden, which I think is known as being like the ultimate hard man's club in Germany, really, Dynamo Dresden. But I know that Frankfurt and also Nuremberg, a lot of people tell me that Nuremberg's firm has got a bit of a rep as well, so to speak. So, yeah, but I've unfortunately not had too much close contact with them so far.
Not leading the line of the Nuremberg firm then.
Yeah, in the future. But it's funny because whenever you talk about football to German people as a Brit, they always think we're all like hooligans and stuff like that. Like all the German people think like British football is still like in the 80s where like everyone's like smashing the hell out of each other before and after every game, you know. But I guess like the national team is probably what kind of like pushes that rhetoric. But it is funny that everyone always talks about the hooligans. They all watch that Green Street movie. That's what it is. You know, they watch Green Street and they all think the Brits are massive hooligans. But yeah, it's always quite funny to talk to them about that, really.
Yeah, Green Street. What a film that is with
Frodo Baggins as the
in it. Elijah Woods, I think. Yeah,
Elijah Wood.
Yeah. So we're completely digressing here. So anyway, we've got about a minute of normal play left this evening. It's been a consummate performance and a controlled, very impressive performance by champions Munich this evening, just as Leverkusen have got a bit of possession, just trying to probably see this out now. So no more damage is done. Can they just give a glimpse of hope or enjoyment for the travelling fans? Good question. Probably not. We'll see how long is added. Oh my God, here we go. Muller's, is it Goretzka through on goal? Fouled? No, not fouled. Mark, is it a penalty? Is it not?
No,
I don't think so.
Nothing given, no.
Being robbed again of the ball.
Yeah, zoom in on Mazraoui there, and they've actually blown the full-time whistle on 90 minutes. I think in the Bundesliga, that's quite a common thing to do, actually, where when there's like 3 or 4 goals in it or more, they just blow up on 90 minutes. You don't see that in the Premier League, really, do you, Rory? But I think it's obviously a Bundesliga thing. Yeah, but it's a very, very comfortable win for the home side. They'll be very happy with that. As you say, a clean sheet as well. I didn't see that one coming tonight, but you know they are second now with a goal difference of plus 17, still 2 points behind runaway leaders, really, Union Berlin. But we'll have to see how they can do tomorrow against Frankfurt away from home, won't we? But yeah. Enjoyable match, really, Rory. Especially the first half was very entertaining. I would say the second half was a bit more of a non-event, really, in some ways. But good performance from Bayern, and yeah, what are your final thoughts, Rory?
Yeah, have to say that's the Bayern that we expect, isn't it? Most weeks, very good on and off the ball, pressed well, some good performances in there. Musiala stand out again, I think, man the match quite clearly. Kimmich running the game. His partnership with Sabitzer is growing quite well. De Ligt did what was expected of him. I think he's growing into that role as well, and started his career with the German champions really well. Leverkusen, it just never happened for them. Didn't really turn up. The game was done. They weren't tight enough in defence. They've looked leaky in previous games this season anyway. And so it kind of felt a bit of an inevitable one this evening, but obviously people would have had their hopes because of Bayern's previous form. But yeah, no, good game to watch tonight on the Bundesliga. Watch along with us on Over the Bar. Gary, just putting in an interesting kind of thing there, saying to fellow Brits and clubs that have soft spots from yesteryears, do the West German fans, i.e. most Bundesliga, view the East German clubs these days, as in, is there a dividing attitude, Mark? Just quickly before we finish the show.
Yeah, it's a bit of a controversial one because I would definitely say there is even nowadays in Germany, not just in football, but there's a big divide between the west part and the east part. Yeah, definitely. I think it's and I know that I think you could say RB Leipzig, but that's not to do with the fact that they're East German. Obviously, they aren't from former East Germany, but like they're not hated because they're East German. They're just hated because people think they're just like a company club and stuff like that. But I think Dynamo Dresden, Hansa Rostock, they're known to have some pretty hardline fans, and definitely they have a lot of rivalries with a lot of West German clubs. Yeah, Dynamo Dresden and St. Pauli have a very famous rivalry and very hard rivalry as well. And I think also Rostock with some of the teams too have some pretty hard rivalries. But I think a lot of West Germans do like kind of hold a bit of a stigma against East Germany, and I think not just in football terms, in general in Germany, I think the East Germans, and they do have a different kind of mentality too. The mentality is different, and the culture is a little bit different as well. And I think it's definitely something that still exists within Germany.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Hope that half answers your question there, Gary. And thank you everyone for tuning in this evening. It's been great fun, some great chat from everyone, new and old, viewers and members of our community, part of the show. So I think we'll probably wrap up in a moment's time. Gary just saying, is there any fan trouble when those clubs play one another, or is it just a Brit thing? Mark?
No, there's a lot of trouble. Yeah, no, in Germany they actually have like quite a big, they have a very big ultras culture, and generally ultras means hooligans as well. So they definitely do. Not every club, but a lot of clubs do have a bit of naughtiness, so to speak. Yeah, it definitely exists.
Yeah, good stuff. Just a final reminder from me before Mark closes up this evening, just to make sure that you go to Bundesliga boxes to get your Xmas, your Christmas box pre-orders in now, live on their website. Go to Twitter or on the internet to go find out what their deals are, and indeed get yourself one sorted nice and early for Christmas, so you're not panic buying at the wrong time. So over to you, Mark, to finish off our watch along for this evening.
Yeah, definitely. So if you enjoyed what you saw today in our 2-hour mega edition, then check out Out Over the Bar FB and Out Over the Bar Extra. Also check out our main website, which is obviously otbfootball.net. We've got just about everything football related on there. Remember to check out the Football League show as well, which I think goes out. I think it changes every week what night they do it on, actually. So I'm not going to tell you what nights exactly it is, but look out for that. If you subscribe, then you can press the notification button and it'll notify you as soon as the show is set up. The same with our Bundesliga editions as well. And don't forget, as Roy said a couple of times today, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because it helps us growing. We're closing in on 700 subs now, so keep going, and we're hoping to get to 1,000 before too long. But we'll see you again on Monday for the review show. So see you then. Ciao.
Cheers all.